Welcoming onto our coverage this morning, Anand Ranganathan, commentator, best-selling author as well. Good morning, Anand. A very happy Independence Day to you as well. A 90-minute speech by the Prime Minister. So much happening in the world. A lot of turbulence. Everyone had guesses correctly this time, as it turned out, about what the Prime Minister's speech was really going to be about. Lots of stuff about reform, lots of stuff about Atmanirbhar Bharat, and a real sort of thrust about India having to do it by itself. What was your big takeaway, Anand?
No, indeed, and thank you so much, Shiv, and everyone for having me here. Happy Independence Day to everyone. It was, I would say, comparisons are, always a bit tricky, but possibly his best speech in the 11 speeches that he's given. All said and done, in totality, I'm saying I was rousing in parts. He said all the right things, ticked all the boxes. And of course, when he talked about Operation Sindoor and our armed forces and Atmanirbharta, we have the good hero here, from the military as an example, and he would, elaborate more on that. And then he talked about, the health concerns, the obesity. We have a specimen here. He will talk about. No, sorry about that. I was just pointing at Abhijit out here. Yes. No, but yes.
That was a BrahMos.
But I think, if at all, I'm not nitpicking out here.
Yeah.
I think the speech was rousing and important in the external factors that he talked about, that India needs to, rise up. I would have preferred, again, I'm not nitpicking, but, these problems are there. He's focusing on them, but I think I would have liked had he focused a little bit more on internal factors. I'm not talking of the Ghusbatia thing, which is important, demography, and I'm very happy that he mentioned that. It's very rare for somebody to mention it. People, I think that's probably going to be the talking point, politically incorrect or whatever, but it's absolutely essential. But, when he talked about Mere Desh Ki Dharti, Mere Kisan, well, he would have been remembered as the Prime Minister who brought in the greatest reforms in independent India. I'm talking about the 3 farm laws,
Yeah.
And, there are reforms that affect 5 million, 10 million people. Here were 3 that affected 300 million people directly, and so many indirectly. And then, he took them back. Of course, he was forced to, or whatever you may say, the opposition that had promised those very reforms took a U-turn. Those are the internal things that I wish, would come back to the table, because let's face it, that is one of the biggest challenges that this country faces, agricultural reforms, and something we cannot be a developed nation. The problems are so daunting there, Shiv. I can basically rant out the things that need to be done. He talked about Indus Water Treaty, which I believe, putting it in abeyance, is his greatest achievement.
True, I agree completely.
But when he talks about Indus Water Treaty and the farmers being denied water, let's also remember that 3,200 billion cubic feet of Godavari water during the monsoon goes into the ocean every year. And the water requirement for the entire state of Tamil Nadu is 1,800 billion cubic feet. 30 years, past, Supreme Court, 5 governments have mandated we must link 30 rivers, river linking. And it was only 2 months ago that the Prime Minister himself inaugurated the first link. So there are problems that we need to focus internally. That possibly lacked a bit more, I would say, emphasis in this speech. But otherwise, yeah.